One of the things that you talked about here, as you've been talking about since even before it passed, is what the president calls his big, beautiful bill. Cuts to Medicaid, other programs. 25% of West Virginians receive Medicaid, 15% rely on food stamps. And yet, as I mentioned, West Virginians overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. How do you square that circle?
Well, that's a longer story that has to do with the failure of the Democratic Party in general to speak to the needs of the working class. This used to be, decades ago, one of the strongest Democratic states in the country. Now it's a strong Republican state because I think in many ways, the Democratic Party has turned its back on what was its base. But I think our job and the reason I'm here and the reason we go to red states all over the country is to make it clear that there are some of us who are prepared to stand up for the working class. And if we stand together, if we're united, if we don't let Trump divide us up, there is no stopping what we can do as a nation in terms of improving life for ordinary people.
You said the Democratic Party has turned its back on the working class. You'd said something pretty tough when you were speaking to this crowd about Kamala Harris.
One of the reasons, in my view, that Kamala Harris lost this election is she had too many billionaires telling her not to speak up for the working class of this country.
Ouch.
Well, no, I don't think that's, I like Kamala, she's a friend of mine, but her core consultants, were heavily influenced by very wealthy people. How do you run for president and not develop a strong agenda which speaks to the economic crises facing working families? You have more income and wealth inequality today than we've ever had. You have 60% of our people living paycheck to paycheck. You got a healthcare system which is broken and dysfunctional. And despite spending so much, we're the only major country not to guarantee healthcare to all people. How do you not talk about those issues?
She talked about affordability.
Well, but in a vague, I don't want to rehash that campaign, but I think the clue to Democratic victories is to understand that you got to stand unequivocally with the working class of this country. You need an agenda that speaks to the needs of working people. Is it a radical idea that we join every other major country on earth and guarantee health care to all people? Is that a radical idea? You tell me how many people are talking about that. It's a radical idea to say that we've got to raise the minimum wage to $17 an hour. It's a radical idea to say that in the midst of a competitive global economy, we need to make sure we have the best educated workforce, that all of our kids, regardless of income, should be able to get a higher education. These ideas exist all over the world. They don't exist in America. And they don't exist because of the power of the oligarchs economically and politically. All right, let's be clear. In my view, the current political system in the United States of America is broken and corrupt. Does anybody think that it makes any sense at all that Elon Musk can spend $270 million to elect Trump as president and then become the most important person in government? Billionaires should not be able to buy elections. And by the way, that's not just a progressive perspective. Conservatives understand that too.
What makes you so sure that the solution that you're offering, which is a more assertive federal government, is something that is going to fly in places where people have been voting in recent years Republican and have an inherent distrust of government?
Well, they should, and they should have a distrust for a number of reasons. Government is too bureaucratic and not responsive. But, and let me tell you what I'm sure you already know, is that if you look at the polling, and I asked the people here today, you heard me ask. Anybody here think that the American healthcare system is vaguely effective? Nobody in America thinks it's working. We spend twice as much as other countries, 85 million uninsured or underinsured. 60,000 people die a year because they can't get to a doctor on time. Do you think that in America, with all of our genius, all of our capabilities, we spending so much money cannot provide a high quality system that guarantees healthcare to all people? And do you think people here don't know that? They know. They know we can do it.